Hey guys, welcome to the seventh episode of Comic Monitors. This is Matt Invictus. I'm here with Darnell Henriquez and special guest Joey Batts. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Finally moved down here to Florida just in time to get smacked in the face with the weather a couple of times, but everything's going well.
Welcome to the state. So we're trying something new this time. We're just going to we can bring up any subject we want. I encourage you guys to keep it superhero based, but we can bring up anything. It can be a movie you've seen, a TV show you like, just any random topic. Anything goes this time, but I like it to be mostly superheroes. But so either you guys have anything you'd like to throw out while I finish my coffee?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Darnell, if I could start with something.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Matt is a well-known hater of things.
You
fluffy,
noticed.
fluffy bunnies, cute kittens, rainbows.
No.
I like animals fine. I love I love kitties and I'm actually fine with bunnies. I don't mind bunnies.
Okay.
I was gonna say when you said fluffy kittens, I was gonna say no. If there's one thing he will spare our kittens.
But
I love kittens. They're adorable.
regardless, Matt is colloquially known as a hater, and that's okay. But but come on, man. Even you have to admit that Justice League trailer today is pretty awesome.
I have not watched the one that came out today. I have seen all the other ones and they have not reassured me about the film. That's my critique. That's the nicest way I can put it. They have not reassured my concerns.
No, and I get that, but there's something about like I feel like this time, like I obviously you haven't watched it. Did you watch it, Darnell?
I've seen clips of it. I still haven't seen it because, to be perfectly honest, I just woke up 4 hours ago. But here's my the main thing with all the clips I've seen of it. It's kind of feel like if it was down to the point that I even now with a lot of things I still have a Wheaton. If it was down to the point that he's done the movie completely, I would have been a little bit more okay. I'm giving him more benefit of the doubt. But I kind of feel because of the fact that they had to re-scrap everything after Snyder's little I have to leave because of family issues. It feels like it's two conflicting ideologies coming, head to head with each other.
Well, Snyder still has the main directing credit on there, so legally that means that it's that actually like Joss Whedon didn't have as much of a change to the movie as some people seem to think. But with just with this trailer, it's I don't know. I feel like something even down to like they got the music choice right. They gave every character their own like little moment to shine a little bit. And it didn't seem quite as doom and gloom as the others did. Like don't get me wrong, I like the other trailers just fine, but there was like the hard rock and the it all just felt like a jam session and sort of like these jumbled scenes and everything.
Aquaman jumping off the roof with a parademon.
Okay, well, first of all, if you don't think that's awesome,
no, it was awesome.
That's where the conversation ends because
that's
amazing.
That was awesome because I was just like, holy, that is a complete tone shift.
Yeah, but no, it's just I feel like the shift in tone that's been talked about since even before Batman v Superman came out. It was made clear by I want to say by Deborah Snyder in a couple of interviews about the like where the story was leading to and taking us. It actually comes through in this last trailer, I think. Now, to be fair to Matt, I don't think that it's a trailer to like change the minds of the non-believers, but for those of us who are either already in the bag for anything DC, like me, or some people who were like a little unsure, I feel like it might sway those people. That's not this, and again, that's not to say that like they're like, oh, Matt's just gonna hate everything. No, what I'm saying is that like if you guys, if both of you haven't liked the DC films up until now, yeah, you're right. This trailer will not do a whole lot to change your mind. I'm just saying I feel like they're showing with this new trailer, the step in a more positive direction and more towards what some of like the mainstream audience has been asking to see. So anyway, I encourage you to go watch it. I encourage anybody listening to go watch it. I cried like a baby this morning when I watched it, and I've probably seen it about 12 times today. So that's me.
I'm watching it right now. I'm watching it right now with headphones.
Like I said, I don't know that like I said, I don't think it'll change your mind, but I think anybody can agree it's a better trailer than what we've seen before. But yeah. And I also think it was really, really cool. Well, I mean, he's watching it right now, so there's not really, so I don't want to really say a whole lot about it. But the one thing that I really noticed, and I think everybody's noticed, is the improvement in sort of like the brightness and color palette of it. Like you see some of the same shots in this trailer that you've seen in previous trailers, but they're a little bit brighter and a little bit a bit of a higher contrast, so that you can actually kind of see what's going on. And it looks just a little bit more heroic instead of, oh no, we're all going to die.
Okay, I just watched the whole thing. With headphones, and I think that the main difference between this one and the other trailers is the choice of music. I believe that if you took the exact footage and superimposed the music from the other trailers, like that hard rock cover of Come Together, it wouldn't really be that different.
Yes, I completely agree, and that was the biggest thing for me. Starting with the Man of Steel theme, and then going into oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the band. It's not. I thought it was U2 at first, but it's not U2. But still, the cover of David Bowie's Heroes is just perfect, and it instills that sort of idea of hope and heroism that was seriously missing from. Like I said before, it just seemed kind of like a jam session of all these people coming together and just bashing heads. But anyway, I really enjoy it, and I'm glad you've seen it now, and I hope everybody else goes and does see it. And hey, only 39 days away, I will be there opening night. So
yeah, I am going to see the movie. I'm not going to avoid it. I'm not going to completely avoid it like you did Batman vs Superman. Mainly because I have a channel now and he needs to do a vlog. But I will give it a chance. But I'm expecting to cry during this movie, and not for the right reasons. I am seriously expecting. And look, I'm trying to be as nice as possible in talking about this, because I know I have a reputation as a very hatey person. A lot of people say I'm filled with hate, and they're not exactly wrong, but I still have tact.
Exactly.
So the most tactful way. There you go.
And no, and I was going to say, and tact really is the best way to say it. But yeah, so many people on the internet, they can't seem to disagree, or agree to disagree. Opinions are another thing that are allowed on the internet. And so yeah, no, there's a lot of times where I'll see something on Twitter or on Facebook or just on that awful comicbook.com, where I'll just kind of roll my eyes and move on, because everybody's allowed to have opinions. I know that many people will never like some of these movies and some of these comics as much as I do. But as long as we can talk about them and admit, oh, that guy doesn't like this, I do, but hey, we can shake hands and talk about it. Like that's when we're okay. It's the death threats and the craziness and the dicks of the internet that make everything worse. So thank you for, at least, like you said, having tact. I try to as well, although sometimes I just get I don't get venomous, I just get super snarky. So
well, the way I do it is I treat people with the same level of politeness they give to me, because I mean, sometimes I am a dick on the internet, but it's just if they're doing it first. If they come at me with a rude response, I'm like, I'm not going to bother being super polite to this person. I'm going to give them the same attitude they gave me. So it's like, like I'm very polite on like like streams and everything because we're all friends. It's all fine. But someone comes at me calling me a pig fanboy, telling me to shut the fuck up. I'm not going to be nice to them. I'm going to tell them to fuck off because they asked for it.
Exactly. Hey, escalation of force, man. It's defense. It's justified. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so what do you guys come at me? What else you got?
Okay, I want to talk about something. So for the past 2 weeks now, 2 new shows have come up. The first one is Inhumans. The second one is The Gifted. Guess which one I liked?
Inhumans.
Joey?
I'm hoping Gifted.
Yes, Gifted was head over shoulders better than fucking Inhumans was. Like, in almost even unimaginable way. It's like one of them is trying to copy the books, but it's like loosely based and fails. The other one, I'll say it's loosely based on the concept, and ironically almost tends to follow the theme of the books better.
Okay, well, first of all, the only thing that I tend to try to jump back into for Marvel is the X-Men comics. So I'm naturally going to be drawn more towards an X-Men based show. But yeah, like these guys used their budget and made it work for the concept of their show. Whereas with Inhumans, it's interesting that Inhumans, just since we're also talking about X-Men properties, Inhumans has almost the same problem that X-Men Apocalypse did, whereas it's unfathomable that a TV budget like Marvel Studios and ABC have worse costumes than like half the people walking the New York Comic-Con right now. Like it's unbelievable and unforgivable, and just from it, and we know that a CGI budget, a CGI TV budget can work because while it doesn't look cinema quality, the Flash uses CGI pretty well with King Shark, Gorilla Grodd, and his speed. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. uses CGI pretty well. Ghost Rider looked pretty great in the last season. So I don't know where any of the money went for this show. It wasn't in the sets either because it was just, oh, hey, let's grab some old Babylon 5 sets that we bought in the bargain bin and just set them up and have these really stale actors walk around talking as these really underdeveloped characters in costumes that we pulled off of the rack at the Goodwill and see what happens. Like I have no idea where the budget in that show went.
I can tell you where it went because it was pretty much it's almost disproportionate on like you can tell where they tried to do the CGI. Like I think for some weird reason, like 60% has to have gone to fucking Lockjaw because he is like the most reoccurring thing on that thing. But it's like the 2 times Black Bolt actually used his voice. One of them was in a flashback. The other one was by accident. The scene where Medusa actually uses her hair right before they cut it off, and then it's like I can't tell like how much Gorgon the Gorgon stopping scene in Hawaii must have cost, but it's like it couldn't be that big. Like I'd be surprised if it was more than like $1,000. But yeah, it's just like. But it's like it's so disproportionate. But the biggest thing I have about the show is that it is so disjointed in the way it's trying to tell the story. It's like it's almost like we all know I'm usually the type of person like try and research the concept, dude. Blah 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 blah. Don't go into everything blind. But even with me as an Inhumans fan, the way they just throw about it, it's like, oh, you don't have your abilities. You're going to the mines. Fucking explain what the mines are. I know that the Inhumans have fucking slavery, but you think 90% of the people don't know this?
Well, see, I had the opposite problem with Terrigenesis. I thought it didn't make a whole lot of sense of we're seeing Terrigenesis on the show, like we're seeing it for the first time, but then having Karnak sort of like being Captain Exposition and like explaining to Black Bolt what Terrigenesis is. Like, I'm pretty sure your king knows what's going on here, guy. Like, maybe if it was like some sort of like some sort
Like
of
a
like
logo,
all-knowing voiceover, it may have worked out a little bit for me. But him's just sort of like dictating to Black Bolt, oh yeah, that's what this is. I'm like, well, yeah, I know what that is. But
yeah, superhero shows are a bit hard for me to discuss because I don't really watch any of them except for the Marvel Netflix stuff. And even then, I'm a bit behind. But yeah, I agree that the costumes on Inhumans look like ass. And you're right. The average cosplay outfit is of a higher quality than the ones on TV. And I think the problem is both the TV costumes and cosplayers, they have a limited budget, but at least the cosplayers are trying to like look vibrant and visually striking. With Inhumans, they're like going for like, realism. They're going for like that really gritty, practical look. And if you have a lot of money, maybe you can work. But TV, if you don't have enough TV, if you don't have the funds for really elaborate costumes, at least make them vibrant. At least make them nice to look at. Not that dollar store garbage we got on Inhumans.
No, Bad. Here's one of the biggest things. So when the Inhuman royal family is supposed to be discarded on Hawaii, we see Black Widow Medusa, and Medusa very easily knows what a tour bus is. She walks in, she's like, she's very easy to like sit down. She's not looking at people with kind of like what the hell are these, what the hell am I seeing sort of thing. She walks into a hotel like she's very easy camouflaged. Meanwhile, Black Bolt, he's in the middle of the city, and you can literally, like, the moment a woman pulls out a phone and, like, takes pictures of him, he, like, grabs the phone and just, like, looks at it like it's some sort of wizardry. And then when he goes into a clothing store, and, like, the woman is, like, telling him, oh, you should try to dress this on. He just walks out like, like, what's money?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's very inconsistent, and that's sad because once the Inhumans movie was announced, that's when I started sort of researching Inhumans. I went into the Marvel Unlimited app and started like getting to know the Inhumans a lot more, because really the only time I ever got to know them was on the old like 90s Fantastic Four cartoon. And so I went to go learn a little bit more about them, and I really enjoy those characters. And it was just sort of sad to see him kind of fall flat before they even had a chance.
Yeah, the only Inhumans I really like are Lockjaw, just because he's a giant dog who can teleport. He's kind of cute, and I kind of like Black Bolt just because of his interesting premise. He's like a king, and his voice is just so powerful he can't say anything. So, and also he doesn't talk, which by Inhuman standards is a good thing. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I can tolerate Black Bolt and Lockjaw, but the rest of them just don't interest me that much. I mean, Medusa, even though I like redheads, and she has arguably the most red hair of any character ever. Like, nothing about her really stands out to me. Triton, Karnak, they just don't seem super complex to me. So it's like I can tolerate the Inhumans in like their old iteration, back when they were just kind of characters who showed up every once in a while when something important was going down. But because of what the Inhumans have become, kind of like the Kmart X-Men, I just can't stand them. Marvel possibly ruined those characters for me forever.
I just thought that was beautiful, Kmart X-Men. Thank you for that.
I always just call them mutant X-Men, like mutant versions of what the X-Men are supposed to be. But anyway, and then now going into the Gifted, and I'm like, this is a show that could have gone so wrong, because it is preaching like everything that like we've kind of seen shows and the media trying to like portray, like hunting out illegal immigration, going after people, blah 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 blah. But because it's using the concept of what the X-Men should be, and taking into this broad approach of anyone can be an X-Men, anybody can go through this. It is, and the characters are actually characters. It is beautifully done.
Yeah.
Like the main character, I forgot his name, but he's supposed to be Sunspot. My mother was watching the show. She loved him completely.
Oh gosh, yeah. What's the dude's name? I can't remember off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, I can't hear because I remember because when my mom first told me, no, you have to see the show. You have to see the show. You're gonna love it. And I was like, okay. You also liked Inhumans, so I'm gonna. And then I saw everybody else online saying, Darno, you have to see Inhumans. I mean, you have to see The Gifted. So then I saw The Gift, and I was like, holy crap, this is almost more of an X-Men show than the movies are.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite things, they actually even make it a little bit more complexity because they don't have the Sentinels. They don't have the giant robotic Sentinels in this. When instead, what they do have, they essentially made the Sentinels all like the company from Terminator 2. Joe, you know which one I'm talking about?
Cyberdyne.
Yeah.
Cyberdyne. They made the Sentinels like Cyberdyne by having them being like this private military force with like the little robot things from Terminator Salvation.
Yeah, the little like rolling spider drone things. Yep. Yeah, it worked out really well. I'm excited to see more from it. It was a great, like, there are some shows that have had some weak pilots and then gone on to be pretty great, but this already started out pretty strong, and I was really pleased.
Yeah, stuff like Gifted and Legion are the kind of things I would care about if the main X-Men were being treated better, because I'm one of those guys where, like, if I'm going to care about, like, like secondary characters and spin-offs and stuff, like, I need the A-list stuff to be in a good place, and that's not happening with the X-Men films.
I'm sorry, but side note, Matt, remember, this is what I told you about yesterday, and you said I was just exaggerating.
No, I was exaggerating in the case of Mr. Miracle. That I made an exception for that.
All right, but keeping on going.
Yeah, I mean, it's like where was I? I'm like I did break down and watch the Logan movie just because it was like an R-rated blockbuster, and if an R-rated movie like gets great reviews and makes a lot of money, I'm gonna go ahead and see it almost no matter what. But I just can't bring myself to care about like a Polaris and Blink and Sunspot if the main X-Men still can't get a decent movie, because I'm one of those people where I'm not satisfied with a single X-Men ensemble film, like not even First Class, not even Days of Future Past. They just missed the mark for me. So if we can finally get that good ensemble X-Men movie with all the A-list characters, then I can start getting invested in Legion and all that stuff. But at the moment, it's just there's an empty place inside of me where the X-Men should be, and Gifted just can't fill that hole.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair enough.
Okay, so
yeah, what do you got, man?
Okay, I'm gonna dive headfirst into something I'm very passionate about. Have you guys read about the Flash War announcement?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I got to talk about this, and again, I'll try and be very, very calm and tactful. DC just announced a new Flash storyline at New York Comic Con. It's called Flash War, and the premise is it's going to settle once and for all who's the best Flash, Barry Allen or Wally West. Now, some people who have known me for a very, very long period of time, and by long period I mean a minute, know that I have some problems with how DC's handled their Flashes. I don't like how they fetishize Barry Allen to the point where they want to make out with him. That's how much they love him. And they hate Wally West and his fans so much that they want to drive us all into a deep depression. At least that's how I feel. So I feel like a storyline focusing on a conflict between Barry and Wally that seeks to make one of them decide one of them is better than the other is going to have kind of disastrous results for Wally fans. But that's just how I feel. What do you guys think?
Yeah, after kind of the treatment that we've seen after Rebirth with the original Wally, I can definitely see your argument with we all kind of know which side is it going to end up going. Like if it was something like Flash War and it was like and I know this is gonna sound really, by comic book fans now, this is gonna sound really old, but like kind of like a civil war between speedsters over the multiverse, and Wally's like the deciding factor onto who wins. That would be interesting. But kind of like the Barry versus Wally, we all know who's gonna win.
And the thing is, like the way Wally's been treated since they brought him back last year, the kind of mistreatment he suffered, it's not unintentional. I mean, you do not unintentionally treat a character this badly. There is got to be some sort of company bias against him, because there's just no other explanation for what they're doing with him.
Yeah, I don't understand the incongruence between how important Jeff Johns made Wally to the entirety of Rebirth, and then seeing like what's happened to him now. Like, it took what, two years or just a year for him to like get completely 180'd from the crux of the entire universe to the whipping boy. Like, it's unbelievable.
It's because out of all the higher ups at DC, I think Jeff Johns is the only one on Wally's side. The rest of them have their dicks stuck in the Silver Age.
Well, Dan DiDio and I would have a very interesting conversation if we ever met, because he tried to kill Dick Grayson in Infinite Crisis. He's treating Wally like crap now. Like, we would have some words.
Dan DiDio is the devil. He is.
Matt, have you forgotten that Harley Quinn little black book with Sartana I showed you, where they literally make Dan DiDio into the devil?
Yes, I remember. That's the most accurate portrayal of Dan DiDio that will ever exist. He is not a nice guy. He is not good for the company.
You mentioned a book that has Harley Quinn's name in the title. Thereby, I haven't read it. So,
like I understand why some people don't like Harley Quinn. I get it, but like Black Book is one of the better ones. It's definitely one of the more accessible ones, even if you're sick of her. But I digress.
It's literally just like a book where like it's her teaming up with other characters, and the other characters are also sick of her. Like by the end, like by the beginning to midpoint of the books, they're all just, how can I get away with her? And then at the ending, it's like, okay, you're kind of all right, before she tries to sexually, go intimate with them.
Hooray!
And then about this Flash War book. Apparently, the writer of the event, Josh Williamson, he's the current writer of the Flash, which I have not read because Wally's not in it. He did speak to a fan at Comic-Con, and he gave some very, very reassuring words where he's like, nope, it's not going to be a letdown to Wally fans. I love Wally. It's not going to be a civil war with the Flash. As he said, a lot of very reassuring things, but I just can't buy it. I mean, I don't think Josh Williamson is a horrible person, or he's poison for Wally the way DiDio and the other higher ups are, but it's just, I don't believe that DC can make a 180 from what we've gotten now to spontaneously treating Wally really great, because they don't have any motivation to. It's like they're doing fine with Barry and I call him Fake Wally now in the lead, so they just don't have any motivation to do a 180. I don't buy into the reassurance.
Yeah, it's one of those I'll believe it when I see it sort of things.
Yeah. So I think those are all my thoughts on Flash War. Joe, you want to throw something out, Al?
Yeah. So we mentioned how we feel about the on-screen depictions of the X-Men, but with original Logan coming back soon, with original Jean Grey coming back soon, somehow like people just shaking up things and trying to kind of bring back some sort of familiar status quo to the X-Men. My question is, why does everyone hate Cyclops? And I even said, so there's a guy I follow on Twitter at Andrew Ryder, the biggest Aquaman fan I've ever seen, unironic Aquaman fan I've ever seen. He was the first one to put out, or he was the first one that showed me that Jean was coming back. My immediate response was, oh, well, watch them bring original Wolverine back because now Scott's not in the way of their love anymore. And sure enough, it took a month and a half. And they're like, guess what? Wolverine's back. I'm like, oh, great. And they announced at New York Comic Con there's no plans to bring adult Cyclops back. And it's so infuriating to me that somehow just all these people just hate Cyclops so much and never want to see him happy or anything good happen to him ever. They treated him like crap in the movies. They treat him like crap for years in the comics, and I don't understand why.
No, and Joey, you forget the big thing. Not only are they not bringing Cyclops back, but now Wolverine has 2 genes to go after.
Well, no.
Okay. I know, that was a joke.
Well, no, I was just going to say I actually really like the relationship between teen Jean Grey and old man Logan. I like the sort of like doting grandfather relationship that they have. But also old man Logan's the only version of Wolverine that I like, which is why Logan is the only Wolverine movie that I like. But yeah, anyway, Cyclops happens to be obviously my favorite X-Man, and so just seeing all the hate that he's given just really irks me. But that wasn't my actual topic of discussion. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Like, why does everybody freaking hate Cyclops?
Before you go on, I will let you finish. I want to say I 100% agree with you on Cyclops. He's my second favorite X-Man. My first favorite is Emma Frost, and I do really like them as a couple. But it's like, yeah, Cyclops gets it way too hard. It's like, yeah, he's kind of a dick, but it's like, it's not his fault. He has social problems. He has like the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he knows he has a lot of responsibility. He needs to get shit done, but he doesn't really know how to be nice. He just kind of has to be kind of a hard ass and all. And so I think he's very sympathetic in that regard. So yes, I do like Cyclops a lot. And I think people who judge him too harshly for not being the nicest guy should reevaluate him.
Also, one of the big things they can even say, because of his situation, his social status, his social skills are kind of, been really stunted because, once again, he's been trained since a kid to be kind of like a soldier. And B, everybody that he's been personally attached to have all been psychic, so they kind of know what he thinks. Mm-hmm. So him going into someone that can't read his mind automatically, it's like, fuck, how do I explain myself to you?
Exactly. And well, my actual topic was going to be favorite X-Man and least favorite X-Man. And so Cyclops again is definitely my favorite for a lot of the reasons that you guys mentioned. But I just think of like people have always called him like the teacher's pet and things like that. And I think, all right, so imagine, if you will, that there was this horrific accident when you were a child, and you believe you lost your mother, father, and little brother all at the same time. And then you're stuck in this orphanage where everybody treats you like crap. The doctor or the guy who runs the orphanage or whatever is like performing weird experiments on you, and who knows what like strange areas those go into. And then here comes this guy who offers you like a real home for the first time in years, is treating you like a normal person, and basically just gives you the family that you were so dearly missing. Would you not like just do everything in your power, put all of your time and effort into somehow in some minuscule way paying that guy back? And so when somebody's like, oh, well, he just does whatever Professor X says, oh, he's such a he's needs to get off of his high horse, he's so full of himself. Like, no, you all need to shut up and fall in line, because Scott's the only one who knows how to get this done. Like the bad guys only ever get beaten in most of like the old X-Men stuff, including like the cartoons and stuff like that, things only go right when everybody shuts up and does what Scott says.
And the thing that's really cool about Cyclops is he's a true tactician, because when you think of a lot of the other like super formidable Marvel characters, it's like Doctor Doom and Professor X, they've all got like, you know, a big trick up their sleeve. It's like Doctor Doom, he's like he's kind of like a tech wizard. He just presses a few buttons and gets it done. Like Professor X, super powerful psychic. He's a smart dude, but at the same time, he's got like he can like get into people's minds and stuff. He's got massive natural advantage. With Cyclops, all he really has to go on is pure tactical skills. He needs to be as best a leader as possible, because the only other thing he has to fall back on is eye beams, optic blasts. I mean, he does have like Emma Frost, but she does her own thing. So he's like a true tactician, and I really admire that about Scott Summers.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't get, like I said, making him the murderer of Professor X, then making him a megalomaniac, and just Magneto 2.0 was just another little piece in the crumbling puzzle that is Marvel Comics. But
it was Bendis' fall from grace. That was the turning point, because like with Bendis, his turning point, it was Avengers versus X-Men. That's when he went from a decent fan favorite writer to, holy crap, this guy's the worst thing ever. Why do they keep letting him write things?
Yeah, exactly. And then my least favorite X-Man is actually a much shorter discussion. It's just, I can't freaking stand Wolverine, because I hate the lone wolf, oh, I'm a bad boy with deep feelings and nobody understands me kind of character. And plus, I can't get behind anybody who's purposefully trying to rip apart a married couple. But anyway, what are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, so mine is Scott. I mean, I've shown the list off multiple times of favorite heroes. Scott is third out of actual X-Men characters. But my number one has always been Nightcrawler.
Okay.
You know, Nightcrawler's always been the character that, I don't know, it's like, you know, out of the characters that like I always wanted to, you know, like in the same vein as Spider-Man, as Howard Jordan, as, you know, Green Lantern, blah, 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 blah. Nightcrawler's always been this character that for me kind of really represented almost like this idea of what the X-Men strives to be, like the type of people they look like physical freaks. They look like monsters, but inside they're actually, you know, they're actually good people. And you even see Scott, you know, like Kurt, like his mother was Mystique. His mother was this horrible. Well, I say horrible, but you get what I mean. Like this very complex-looking woman. His father was this demon-looking guy, and yet the dude, despite everything, it's one of the nicest characters in the X-Men. Is a devout Catholic, but doesn't necessarily have a lot of the ramifications that you see with like a lot of like he's the antithesis to William Stryker. Like he's the antithesis to what people fear about the X-Men. He's the antithesis to what William Stryker is. Like in a lot of ways, he's like the best ideal of, you know, everything that the X-Men strive and say, we want to be human, or we want to be treated as humans.
Gotcha. Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Nightcrawler. I love just the idea, really, that because of his religion and because of everything that he's seen, because he's been around for a really long time, he just refuses to ever give up on the dream. And even some of the more stalwart X-Men like are beginning to lose hope. To be like, you know, basically the Blue Lantern of them all, going, all will be well.
I mean, and not just that, then you also see even like, you know, he's extremely comedic. He's extremely flirtatious. Like he went after Kitty Pryde even after she rejected him a lot of times, just going with that whole like, no, come on, I can be friends, and even if you don't like me that way, I still want to be friends with you, that sort of way. And then, you know, like kind of with a lot of other Catholic Marvel characters, he just ends up sleeping with tons of women, and you know, like that very fun joke in one of my favorite scenes of Nightcrawler still is the part where him and Beast they're playing like I can only describe it as like gymnastics chess, where like they're playing chess, but they have to be jumping around the danger room, and the stakes are essentially if Nightcrawler wins, Beast has to go to church with him on Easter, and if Beast wins, Nightcrawler has to spend the day doing lab experiments with him.
But yeah, Nightcrawler, he's one of those few characters that everyone seems to like. I don't know anyone who doesn't like Nightcrawler, and I think the reason is because, like you said, he's a very empathetic guy. He's very positive. He doesn't give up hope, but at the same time, he's not obnoxiously optimistic. He's not just insufferably naive, and it has this like constant, obnoxious, just in your face positive attitude. He'd be very honest about the state of the world. He knows that life isn't perfect and sometimes things really suck. But at the same time, he is a force for optimism without just driving you insane with it. I don't know if either of you read Marvel's Unstoppable Wasp. Actually, I do know because no one read that book. It has the most obnoxiously chipper protagonist ever. It's just one of the people who's like 100% of the time is just on like, beaming happiness. And I just can't stand people like that who just
that's called diabetes sweetness.
Yeah, you just don't know when to face the facts. But that doesn't affect Nightcrawler at all. And I think that's the key to his appeal.
And even at that point, because like I said, a big difference between him and Unstoppable Wasp and characters like Nightcrawler and even Deadpool is because you do see that they can analyze, the threats and the fears, but say, no, I refuse to give in. Whereas Unstoppable Wasp, it's like, even the things that should be, like, your dad is a bipolar schizophrenic who fused himself with a killer robot because of his mental issues, and your mother died because of a terrorist attack. No, I'm just gonna take the actual last name of my stepmother. Why? Because she's an influential superhero. What?
Yeah, that's like if Nightcrawler was like, okay, I'm part of a species that is hated and feared by much of humanity. I died once. A lot of people I know have died. My entire existence is kind of miserable. Who cares about all of that? I'm just going to be happy all the time. Just ignore all that stuff.
No, because even that would be good, but it's like the way it's like if you never acknowledge that. Like, that's the big problem, if you never acknowledge that thing. Because the acknowledgement thing is kind of just showing, like, the anti-nihilistic traits. But, like, when you're just down to the point, like, oh, I'm going to ignore it down to the point that I don't even mentally discuss about it, that's when it just goes into, you're a Polynesia. Or, what's the, from Hamlet, what's the character's name?
Of course you would ask me right now.
Hold on, let me. It's a character that's always happy.
Is Hamlet the one with the skull?
Yes.
Yes.
Here hung those lips I kissed. How oft I know not of.
Pollyanna. A Pollyanna character. A character that's never. That is never. Never sad. Never acknowledges never acknowledges the repression they might have, even mentally, when we as the reader only sees the repression, and it ends up becoming that they're incredibly stupid.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so who's your least favorite X-Man?
Jubilee, without a doubt, Jubilee. Okay, because here's the point. Every other X-Men character has a trait or has a family connection or has something that, like, so yesterday Matt and I were talking about the whole Wally Barry thing, and I talked about how one of the redeeming traits I find about Barry Allen is his relationship with his rogues and the members of the Justice League. Like, I love characters with character interactions and that sort of things. I love dialogue between characters. Jubilee is one of the characters that not only does she not have almost any major redeeming factors to herself, she almost doesn't have, except for Wolverine, no other character traits. Like no other character just looks at her. Even these are characters that even like characters that are heated, like Legion. Legion from most of the X-Men is kind of viewed as like this mixed light because even though he's Xavier's son, he is so unstable that characters distrust him, and he is such an asshole a lot of the times that even when he does good things, people will still hate him. And that is actually a Wolverine character. But Jubilee is like, hey, I'm a girl, I'm Asian, I'm new, you all saw me from the cartoon, therefore like me.
Yeah, I'm not a Jubilee fan. She's a candidate for my least favorite X-Man ever, but I'm going to think about it a bit more. But yeah, she is completely pointless because she was created as like an audience surrogate character. But the thing is, Kitty Pryde is 100 times better at filling the surrogate role. So and even though like Kitty's kind of outgrown that role now, I'm sure there are quite a few other younger X-Men who could fill that role better now. Like I know maybe one of the original 5 that they refused to send back in time. Like most of them could fill that role fine.
I mean, even Hope Summers did a better job with that whole I'm gonna be this young, optimistic girl, girly girl character. And even like I said, because she actually interacts with characters, she thinks on her own agency. It's like a lot of the character traits that they tried to put on Jubilee was after she became an X-Men. It's like, oh, here she is as a vampire. Here she is trying to make a bond with X-23. And here she is adopting a little kid, and so on and so on. Like ironically, the best thing they did with Jubilee is now in Generation X, where she is teaching other students that could never be X-Men, and not even X-Men like Cypher. I mean, like actually, they don't have anything useful, and trying to actually live productive lives, just as regular people.
Yeah, and the thing about Jubilee is like she's never been good. Like even in her early appearances when Claremont was writing her, she was insufferable. He was like trying to like make her like, really quirky street rat type character, just like, with her own like unique speech and everything. But it didn't work. She was just annoying. Didn't provide any real reason for us to care about this girl. So she ended up, I think she's the worst thing Claremont's ever created. And I love Claremont, but she's one of his biggest screw ups.
Yeah, the way she was written just makes me think of that Steve Buscemi meme where he comes walking up with the backwards cabin like, "Hello, fellow young people."
Yeah, how do you do, fellow kids?
Yeah,
that's Jubilee. But anyway, I already mentioned my all-time favorite X-Man is Emma Frost, and I love Emma because she's just a shameless anti-hero. She has no pretense of being nice or sweet or empathetic. She's just 100% bitchy snarkiness. But the reason she works so well, despite her cold personality, is because, and her arrogance, is because she actually is as smart as she thinks she is. Like she's an unbelievable narcissist, an unbelievable egomaniac, but she has all the right to be because she's this brilliant businesswoman, this brilliant planner and strategist. She is as smart as she thinks she is, so she kind of has the right to be a narcissistic bitch.
And also, you even do see that, like I said, on the personal level, she does have a soul. Like she actually does care about the X-Men. She is like, like in two of my favorite things about Emma Frost was like when she and Scott actually ran to school, and she says, "We will uphold Xavier's dream of tolerance, of equality, of all these things, but never confuse that with trust." Like, so even she's saying we want to be nice to people, even if we know that behind we have to be prepared to fight back. And then another famous scene with one of my favorite scenes is in the Astonishing X-Men when they're in Manifest Destiny, and then Nightcrawler goes to Emma. She says, "Emma, do you pray?" And then Emma says, "I'm wearing $500 Italian stilettos. I'm not getting on my knees unless I absolutely have to."
She's so awesome. My favorite quote of her is, "I am a diamond, Miss Pride. I am, by definition, my own best friend." She's just so cool, and I love her ego. She's like, she doesn't care if anyone likes her. She just wants them to know she's in charge. She wants them to know she's brilliant, and she's the boss. She doesn't care if anyone likes her or not.
One of my favorite, I'm sorry, but one of my other favorite things is just like the classic psychic thing. They just knock out everyone by psychically overloading them. Emma does say, "No, I'm gonna make everyone orgasm until they pass out."
Yeah, and she's like, shamelessly sexual. Just everything about her is totally shameless. Like, she is just this extremely defined and unrestrained character, and I love that because I can't stand dull characters like these, like self-inserts Mary Sue types that are just meant for the reader to project themselves onto. I can't stand them. I love Emma because she's just through the roof with her personality. She's just so cool. But
So who would your least be?
Yeah, I'm thinking I want to say Jubilee, but I want it to be a bit less obvious. So I'm willing to take suggestions. Like some of the other worst X-Men out there. Who are they?
All I know is Darnell better leave Cypher alone.
No, I actually like Cypher. I don't mind. I thought Cypher actually went for the character they made him be. That's like, okay, he's this character that necessarily you wouldn't think is the hero, ends up dying for his girlfriend, and it's like, yeah, because that's the whole point. It's like anybody can be the X-Men. Everybody can be a hero, even if it doesn't necessarily. They don't have these giant abilities out front.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't stand Quentin Quire.
Yeah, he's
yeah. One of my most heated things about Quentin Quire was the in Grant Morrison X-Men when he did that Mutant Rebellion, and that ended up killing one of Emma Frost's twins. And I'm just thinking to Wolverine, kill him, kill Quentin. You have every right to kill this kid.
Yeah, honestly, I think I'm just gonna have to go with Jubilee because, like we had said, she's just completely pointless. She's annoying. She doesn't have any real depth. There are many much better surrogate characters out there. They had to turn her into a vampire to make her into a string. They had to kind of retcon her to appeal to the Twilight crowd, because I think they turned her into a vampire around the time Twilight was getting popular.
It was slightly before Twilight. It was during the vampires are the zombies craze, but Twilight was like kind of like that in between when it started to die out.
But was True Blood on at the time?
Yes.
Okay. So my comparison still works. They wanted to reach the True Blood crowd. So but yeah, Jubilee, she's pretty useless, so I don't like her at all.
All right.
Like, even Bendis' character of Gold Balls is a better character. It's a better written character than Jubilee. And this is
at least he was a joke.
Yeah, he's a joke. And even in the Miles Morales book, he's actually a good character. Like he's actually a good friend to Miles. It's like I said, it's like I can't think of a character that, unless we're going like the extreme, like Alex the Extreme, I literally can't think of any character in X-Men that has such a prominence as Jubilee, and it's so undeserved.
Mm-hmm. But if we're done talking about X-Men, Darnell, it's your turn to throw something out.
I'm trying to think, because my main thing was pretty much The Gifted. Okay, I know Matt's gonna pretty much hate on me for this because it's talking about Snyder, but holy crap, am I actually kind of impressed with how they're doing DC Metal.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't completely hate Scott Snyder. I think he has strengths as a writer. I just don't like the way he treated the Bat family. I have a big chip on my shoulder regarding him because of that, but I don't hate everything he's done. He's not exactly Nick Spencer to me. I kind of just want him to stay away from Batman. He can put him on the Justice League or Justice Society or whatever. You can let him write whatever the hell he wants as long as he leaves Batman alone. So that's me and Snyder.
Yeah, I would love to talk about DC Metal at another time. It's just the move and getting screwed over by my reimbursement from work has left me with basically no extra money for comics, so I'm super behind on everything. So I don't know anything beyond DC Metal. I don't know anything beyond like Metal #1, and I've done a really good job of staying away from spoilers so far.
Okay, so I'll just try and to make it unspoiler as possible.
All right.
But I just like the idea, like going back and thinking about Metal. There are three Marvel books that remind. There's three Marvel events that reminds you of: Secret Empire, the Thanos Imperative, and fuck, what was the third one? Secret Empire, Thanos.
Venomverse?
No, not Venomverse. Because that's where the Thanos Imperative comes from. But like I said, Secret Empire, Thanos Imperative. If I come back to the third one, I'll say it. But like I said, Secret Empire and Thanos Imperative. Secret Empire, I'm saying because it's like Snyder is putting all of his chips in a bag, and it's essentially saying, look at the history of what I've done and what other people have done, and I'm making this story. Because, he's trying to go back with Secret Empire and like the whole thing, like, oh, well, my run of Captain America, and like the notion and the idea of the characters, and so on and so on. Whereas Snyder actually does it with his book in ways I didn't even think of, because, and I can actually say this way because this is like going back to the previous New 52 runs, like all the weird metals that Snyder has created throughout the New 52, like the metal of the Court of Owls, the what's that metal that the Joker used to bring himself back to life?
It was like the Dionysium.
The other metal that Batman used to bring back his memories after Endgame. Like all these metals and everything like that, it's like he's actually coalescing them into like, all these plot threads are actually coming together. And that's what a good writer should do. Even if they didn't necessarily originally think about the story arc, they can still pull them all together. And for me, that's something that Snyder's actually doing better than Spencer. So I'm actually giving him when he says like, I'm going to make an epic story using all these things and like heavy stakes. I can actually agree. You are doing this. You are fitting the theme of heavy metal very well. I can't read any of these books without listening to Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train just to get myself in the mood, and it is amazing. Whereas the Thanos Imperative, so the Thanos Imperative, for anybody who doesn't read it, was a Marvel cosmic story where it was like the Guardians of the Galaxy and Thanos had to fight like Lovecraftian versions of the Marvel heroes, with like Captain Marvel, not Carol Danvers, but the actual original Captain Marvel as the leader of these like Lovecraftian heroes, now just like Lovecraftian monsters. And that's what it reminds me of, like the art, the way the characters are treated, everything. It reminds me of this so well, and that's not even a bad thing. Like, because I actually really love that story, and like I said, it kind of rhymes.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know nothing about a Thanos Imperative. I've read 2 issues of Gotham Resistance. That's a tie into DC Metal that spans across a few ongoing series. I read the Nightwing issue because it was on my pull list, and I also bought the Suicide Squad issue for the art. Neither of those are the first issue; they're the second and third. So I went into them not only completely unfamiliar with the main Metal story, but not having read the first part of the tie-in storyline. So I was left a little confused, but I thought they were okay. They were okay tie-ins, nothing amazing, but they did not suck. So that's pretty much all I can say about Metal right now. Oh, and this isn't a spoiler or anything, but apparently there's a Metal in the main story called Batmanium.
Yes,
like, Batmanium is part of the DC right now. I mean, remember in Avatar when they had a metal called Unobtainium, and you thought that was the worst thing ever? They DC thought of something worse. So
no, but to be perfectly honest, when you see who it is, the people that make it, and the another point is like it's created as of that moment. Like the moment you see it, that's when it's created.
Okay. But it's like, I mean, I'm not going to avoid Metal. I will read the whole thing eventually. I just wasn't super desperate to get to it. But
Oh, also, sorry, Matt, but one other thing. You remember how like amazing the Court of Owls was at the beginning, but then how very quickly did they decline into just being like the foot from Ninja Turtles?
yeah.
This story pretty much kind of like, okay, this makes sense now.
Okay. But and another interesting thing I noticed about Metal is that when they were advertising this Gotham Resistance thing, the covers, they should have had like a Batgirl and Black Canary on the cover, but the whole thing just wrapped up and they failed to appear in the tie-ins. They just completely omitted them despite featuring them in advertising. So I'm thinking, was there some kind of agenda there? Were they just really desperate to promote Dinah Lance and Barbara Gordon at that point? So just an interesting observation.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. But, if we're done talking about Metal, my topic is also connected to Scott Snyder. Are you guys familiar with the upcoming Batman and the Signal miniseries?
Yeah, I am indeed.
Yes. Well, it got delayed by 2 months for unknown reasons. Bleeding Cool said it was hurricane-related reasons, but they failed to provide a citation for that, and no other sites reported on it. So, and we all know how reliable a source of information Bleeding Cool is. So, Batman and the Signal, it's about Batman and his newest partner. His name is Duke Thomas, and his character trait is that he has superpowers, and he's going to be Gotham's daytime protector, which is unique, but any character could do. Like any member of the Bat family except for Batman himself and Nightwing, just because of his name. Like a character called Nightwing who goes out and protects Gotham by day wouldn't work. So it's this role pretty much anyone could fulfill, but they gave it to Duke Thomas, and that makes him unique. And he also has this really cool superpower where he can absorb lots of light, and this allows him to see a few minutes into the past. So he can like see a few minutes into the past because of his light powers. And that's most of what there is to him. DC's pushed him hard. He's like out of all Batman's alleys, he's appeared in the main Batman book more than pretty much all of them. He got his own backup in All-Star Batman, which over the course of his run established that he has powers and he's unique somehow. So a few people are very excited for this Batman and the Signal miniseries. It's supposed to lead into an ongoing, if it does well, we're going to get a Duke Thomas solo. And one of the co-writer for the book wants this kid to be Justice League material someday. He thinks this Duke Thomas kid, the Signal, is great enough to be Justice League material someday. So some people are excited for this and others aren't excited for this. So where do you guys fall? Or just Darnell, where do you fall? Because Joey dropped out.
For me, it's to the point of, okay, maybe they can try and establish Duke as having more of a character in this book, like by actually having the spotlight on him. But it's into that point of, when Duke started out, he was essentially just a mix between Jason Todd and Tim. And now with this new power, it's like, okay, so Batman's recruiting a metahuman, but it's like, and he's supposed to be the Signal because, he's the upcoming next generation of metahumans. Like, in the war between heroes and villains, he's going to be, he's the Signal. But you get what I mean? It's like, you're kind of already asking for a tall order before you even have the bill paid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Getting back to Scott Snyder, it's like he has his strengths as a writer. He is capable of writing good stories, but creating characters is not one of his strengths. He's like possibly the worst character creator ever, because pretty much every new character he's put into the Bat books has turned out to be a failure. Like
every new character that's been a hero.
Well, like what great villains has he created?
I would say the Court of Owls. No one.
Well, I mean, the Court of Owls, like it's an organization, so that doesn't really count.
Talon, I guess then.
Yeah, but again, like Talon, like buzzed out pretty quickly too. Like they tried giving him his own book, and that didn't work out, and we haven't seen any of him again. I think his name was Calvin the Talon. So didn't work out either. But yeah, like Snyder doesn't know how to create characters, and the thing is, he has pretty much neglected the entire Bat family for most of his Batman run, and attempted to like slot these new creations into their place, and that has done so much harm because his new creations are not good. They're basically copies of pre-existing characters, but just with like none of the natural developments. They don't really fill new roles. They just kind of like rip off the traits of the other heroes and just kind of come in very inorganically. So I feel like, again, I have a big chip on my shoulder about Scott Snyder with how he's handled the Bat family and all of Batman's allies. And then this whole thing with like Duke Thomas, it's like he really desperately wants him to be like a solo character, to be like a big part of the Batman books. But it's like you've got all these characters that readers already really like that have been severely downgraded by the reboot. It's like Stephanie Brown and Cassandra Cain. They're the former Batgirls. They've been just as successful as Barbara Gordon, if not more so, and they're not really doing anything big with them. They're just kind of supporting characters in Detective Comics. Tim Drake, like a former Robin, had his own solo book for about 20 years. Again, they're not really doing anything with him, just as a supporting role in Detective Comics, which is like a holding pen for Batman characters editorial doesn't care about. And it's like this Duke kid, he's basically Tim Drake, but with superpowers. Like he's like got the same like cerebral, mild-mannered personality, the awkward sense of humor, like a similar backstory. Like his parents were poisoned by a criminal, and he like figured out Dick Grayson's identity with his detective skills. So he's like kind of a Kmart Tim Drake, and they're like, but he's super unique because he has superpowers, and like Azrael has superpowers, Clayface has superpowers, and they've done more interesting stuff, more interesting superpower arcs with them than they have with the Signal. So it's like, and again, the one thing he really has to himself, the daytime protector role. Anyone could do that. They could give Stephanie Brown her own series where she's the daytime protector. Cassandra Cain, Tim, Batwoman, Barbara Gordon, Batgirl. It's like anyone can do that. So Batwing. So why does this guy need to exist outside of making Scott Snyder happy? I mean, I think that's all my thoughts on Batman and the Signal. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Chat, do you have anything you want to ask?
Yeah, let me check my YouTube mentions. I mean, my Twitter mentions. Nothing in the chat. Nothing on Twitter. Well, I think we've had a good long stream. We've gone for over an hour, so I think if you're ready, it's a good time for us to wrap up.
Hold on, let me just give them a 2 minute thing. If anybody has a question, type it in the chat before we end up wrapping up. That way we can at least give them a fair try. Because remember, there's a delay here.
Yeah. But in the meantime, I don't know. Did you see it?
No, I haven't yet.
No, you should. It's really good.
Fine, I'll cave down to see it.
Good. Also watch Brain Dead.
I've already. God damn it, we're not getting into this fight again.
But it's funny. You like funny things, don't you?
Yes, and I'll say I'll watch that on when I'm good and ready for it.
You're always good and ready for it.
All right, so I think we've kind of given the chat a somewhat reasonable time frame. If anybody has any questions after the show is done, just type it in the YouTube comment section, and like I said, we'll probably answer it. In the comment section. But like I said, Matt, send us off.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. I think we've had a pretty good stream overall. Thanks to Arnal for appearing. Thanks to Joey for appearing. He was a great guest. So good night, everybody.